Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Humza Yousaf is delusional. He is absolutely fooling no one with a claim he is making about himself and his defence of Michael Matheson. If you believe what Humza Yousaf is saying, then you are truly lost. But he is saying that by standing by Matheson, by standing by an attempted fraudster and known liar, that showed strength from him. And people should look to him and think he's a strong leader who gives leadership in the front. Look at me standing up for these people. Rather than being a rather weak, ballless, sackless, spineless, quivering jellyfish who daren't sack a man in case he's seen as being wrong for employing him in the first place as a minister. It is not strong to fail. It is weak to fail, Humza Yousaf. And you are seen as a very weak man. So don't cut the cod and say, oh, look at me, I'm strong because I backed him. Admit that you're weak because you couldn't sack him. Let's have a look at this story. But it is absolutely a load of old codswallop that he is in any way strong. We know he isn't. Here goes. So Humza Yousaf claims standing by disgraced Michael Matheson showed strength as demands made for him to apologise. He should apologise, and actually Humza Yousaf should resign as well. He's standing by a man who attempted to defraud the taxpayer, who lied, who was shown to be an utterly reprehensible human being by not standing up for his own children, and who, whilst as health minister, oversaw one of the biggest collapses in health in Scotland. And Humza Yousaf defended him, stood by him, backed him up. He's guilty of the same conspiracy, surely. If Humza thinks that Michael Matheson is acceptable, then Humza must also resign. The First Minister once again defended his disgraced former health secretary, as he insisted he was not weak for not sacking him, despite the data roaming scandal which plagued the SNP government for months. You are weak. You are a weak, spineless sack. You have got no balls. You are the Ken doll of Scottish politics, because it's all smooth down the front there, isn't it, Hamza? You've got no spine. You cannot stand up to people. And that ultimately is also why you refused to countenance having Kate Forbes in your cabinet. Last thing you want is a strong, independent woman who would stand up to you and, tell you to your face how wrong you are. You're scared of strong, independent women. Humza Yousaf has claimed that standing by disgraced Michael Matheson for so long was a sign of strength. The man is truly living in a world of fantasy, isn't he? It's all imagination. This was as calls were made for him to apologise for his stance. The First Minister had been branded weak by rivals for refusing to sack the former Health Secretary despite the data roaming scandal. Of course he's weak. The former SNP Minister fell on his own sword yesterday as he resigned from the role, citing that he didn't want to be a distraction from government business. That's not it. He knows that what's about to come out in the final report will show him to be a truly terrible person, and that he would have been fired and therefore not got his resignation monies. So he said, I know, I'll go now, I'll disappear, take the money and just hide, because he's a greedy, grasping grifter. A parliamentary report has been handed to him, which would likely have ended his ministerial career anyway. He's denying he's got it yet, but there's no way he would have jumped ship without knowing full well what was inside it. So again, more lies, more spin, more cover-up from the party that claims to be open and honest. And no one ever believes that. Anyway, Yousaf has been accused of acting like a human shield for his ally, as he labelled him a man of honesty and integrity. And yet, strangely, no one has seen any honesty or integrity from the man at all, ever. And this is despite him lying to journalists about his data use and, as I say, attempting to defraud the taxpayer. He told the media there was no personal use, blah, blah, blah. We're not interested in that. We all know about that. Yousaf is understood to be told by his advisers to sack the shamed minister, but he refused to do so. And when asked by broadcasters about the situation, He claimed it showed how strong he was that he did not fire him at the first opportunity. You sad, sad man. Humza Yousaf, you are an absolute buffoon, aren't you? You've got no political nous. None at all. Do you think Sturgeon would have stood by him? Sturgeon would have had him out the door day one. She'd have got him in and said, Michael, thanks for coming. We've got a problem. You have become an embarrassment. There's two solutions. Either I fire you or you resign. It's your choice, but you're walking out that door and you're no longer a minister. And he'd have resigned. And he'd go, oh, blah, 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 and I'll resign. Fine. And off he went. Sturgeon wouldn't have put up for that. And I don't even like Sturgeon. But she was at least a leader. You've got to say one thing about her. She did have balls. Unlike Humza Yousaf, who doesn't. He said, I think it's a sign of strength that you give someone due process, especially somebody that has served this country. But not very well. This parliament for decades. Michael did the right thing by apologising. No, he did the wrong thing by trying to steal money from the taxpayer. Apologising afterwards doesn't make it right. He said he owned up to that mistake. Crime. He owned up to that crime when caught. Let's use the correct words here, Hamza. Anyway, he says he's done the right thing by standing down. No, you should have done the right thing and fired his ass months ago. But you lack the spine, you quivering jellyfish. A country needs a strong leader. It needs a leader that is decisive, that can make decisions, sometimes unpopular decisions, but nonetheless make them and stand by them. And that is why Humza Yousaf is not a leader. He doesn't have the strength of character. He doesn't have the ability to make his mind up and stick with it. He's like, and ah, and oh, I don't know. Oh, well, it'll make me look bad. Ooh, not a good look. Matheson has been replaced by as Health Secretary by Neil Gray. God help you all. That's going to be, if any, I've got to be honest and say, bad as Matheson was, do you think Gray is going to be better or worse? Oh, it's going to be way worse, isn't he? Anyway, the public awaits the parliamentary probe into the alleged misuse of expenses. He could face a further referral to the Standards Committee if he's found to have misled Parliament officials. I think he needs to be referred to the police for attempted fraud. But Yousaf's outright defence of his fellow SNP MSP has been blasted by rivals who claimed that his reputation was in tatters. Scottish Tories also demanded he apologise for the scandal and admit he was wrong not to sack his disgraced friend. Chairman of the Tory party, Craig Hoy, said to BBC Radio's Good Morning Scotland, we need to see that report in order to find out the timeline of events and what Michael Matheson knew and when. And importantly, as we look forward, there are now very big questions for the First Minister to answer. He won't, though. He'll do a runner. He daren't. He said this is a test for his judgment and his authority. When people make mistakes, the thing you should do, the decent and transparent thing, is hold your hands up and tell the truth and apologise. This wasn't a mistake. This was an attempted crime. This was attempted fraud, and he got caught. That's the only reason he apologised. And it wasn't a mistake. It was a criminal endeavour, and he should have went day one. But Hamza, like I say, no balls, no spine, not a leader, not a man. Didn't fire him, and now he's got to live with the consequences. And no wonder Scotland's in the state it is when you're led by a quivering little jellyfish like Humza Yousaf. Coming up. When this report does finally come out, and boy, I can't wait to get my hands on that, we will look at this and we will see exactly what happened and when. And I have a feeling that this will be hugely embarrassing for Humza Yousaf, to the point that people will start calling for his resignation. And if that's the case, then, you know, it goes to show how tightly enmeshed in each other they truly are. And that's why Hamza couldn't fire Matheson. I think there's a lot more going on that meets the eye at first. But certainly this I must go because I don't want to be a distraction excuse is quite plainly a load of old bollocks. He knows, because he's seen the report and he knows what's coming. And he wants to distance himself quickly. Wasn't it telling? And I do still think it's very odd that he decided to go before PMQs rather than after. Maybe he saw that something like Hamza had dropped him in it. Maybe that's in the report, and he's realised that Hamza screwed him over, so he thought he'll screw Hamza over. Oh well, we live in hope. Till next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Bye.